Hello, everybody. Welcome to Annie Esks with Well Read Magazine. And I want to thank Mandy Haynes for making this opportunity possible for me to interview authors that I adore. And as everyone knows, I there are books that I give 6 stars to. And that means you will hear me shouting from the rafters about that author all the time. And Tonya Mitchell is one of them. So it's an honor to have you here with us today, Tonya. Thank you very much. Your first book, your debut novel, I was so in love with, and I went down a rabbit hole with your protagonist like there was no tomorrow. It was like I learned like so much more because she's right here in New York, which I didn't know. Like all of this stuff was right in New York, and it's called A Feigned Madness, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
cover is
Okay.
right there.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I love the cover. I love it. You have excellent covers for both of them. And then the next book that just recently came out is called The Arsenic Eater's
There's
Wife.
the wife.
Oh,
Hmm.
I can't believe I remembered. This is so good.
Yep, there it
Yeah,
is.
look at this cover.
It's
It's
it is
gorgeous.
beautiful. The
It
publisher did a
really
great
is.
job.
Yeah, they did. I had a picture of it, and then I had another interview in between. I'm sorry, but yeah, they do a wonderful job. They definitely do, and I love the turquoise.
Nah, I do too.
I don't know what it is, but they say that people love turquoise covers, so like it is one that they'll pick up. So
Yep.
I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I do here is I love Vanity Fair magazine. And in the magazine, they have a section where they ask a particular star or popular person, public, you know, whatever, public.
Influencer or
Yes, yes. Because so it could be anybody, but the famous, anybody famous. So they asked them these Proust questions. So I was like, "What is this?" And his name is Marcel Proust. And back in like 1780, he is a French essayist and novelist, and he put together 35 questions where individuals could learn more about their true nature, their character. But then, as the years went on, authors learned that if they couldn't really develop the juice and the blood of their characters, they could ask these questions of their character to develop them into a whole full bodied person.
Oh,
So I thought it would be so fun to have an interview where I ask an author just 10 to 12 of the questions. And I say 12 because sometimes people answer so fast. Like it's just like, all right, let me ask 12. But so I'm going to ask you some questions, Tanya. And if you want to pass on any, all you have to do is say pass and we move on to another question. Because there are 35 to choose from.
oh wow. That's a
But there are
lot of questions.
There are a lot, but there's questions I would never ask because they go into the negative realm, and I don't like to do that. Okay,
Gotcha.
so congratulations on your newest release,
Thank you so much, Andy.
and oh my gosh, I'm so delighted to have you here. Okay, the first question: what is your idea of perfect happiness? I
Oh
have to say,
gosh. Spending the day with people that I love, definitely.
oh,
Which my husband, my 3 children, my overweight golden doodle, who is like one of my children. She's
yes,
my fourth child. I have 3 boys. She's my fourth child, my dogter. I call her my dogter. 3 sons
oh,
and a dogter.
and you
I
have
don't
three
know.
sons?
I have three sons. Yeah, my three
Wow,
sons. Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So I would say that, and then I'd also say, if I wanted to turn it to writing, it's one of those days when the words are just flowing and I can't stop, and I don't have to work at getting the words down. They're just coming. Those are
Oh,
kind of rare days. A lot of times I'm kind of trying to pull something together and deleting, and sometimes in a day I'll only write a couple hundred because I've deleted everything else. But when those days come when the words are just coming and they're good words, then yeah, that's another form of happiness.
oh, that's a really good point. I never thought of that. That's a really good point, especially for an author.
Yeah.
Or even a writer. Like for me, like I'll be in a class and they'll give me something to write, and I'm like, what? Like, and I'm literally, that's where I'm at right now with the class that I have today at 1 o'clock. I haven't been able to write it, but I'm like, I have to do it before before class. But it's hard
It is
when you
hard
get stuck.
because you can't always just free flow on command, you know?
Correct,
It's
correct.
very difficult.
When I get like that, I'd like to put on some music, and that helps me, um, especially if it's from like the era I'm trying to write about. Okay, so the next question is, which living person do you admire most?
Uh, I would say the first person who comes to mind is Oprah Winfrey because I have loved her for the longest time because she's so her authentic self and she has spent her life. I mean, she started out as a journalist. She did well and had her own show, but she turned her show into how to help people become their authentic selves. And it seemed like such a selfless thing for her to do. And I just love that. And then, of course, she had her book list. She would come out with her favorite books and her book of the month. I loved her for that. She just seems like a great person. I think if I could meet anybody, I think I'd want to meet her because she's just such a dynamo in so many ways.
Right, right. You're that's a wonderful choice. She is one of my favorite people. There's an author, Piper Hughley, and
Mm.
I call her my Oprah, like
Oh,
my
really?
Oprah, because I get to go to her for advice that I might ask Oprah.
Um,
You know, so it's pretty funny.
yeah.
Yeah, she loves that. She's like, "Oh my god, that's the coolest thing." Um, she's one of my closest friends. Okay. Um, and the book club, like she was like really the first person
Yes.
famous that started book club,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I thought that was the coolest thing. So I had to read everything she was recommending, and it was always, I love like serious literary fiction,
Yeah.
and like she was really into that, and
Yeah.
I like when you really have to think. It's like reading your books.
Oh,
You
thank
really
you.
you really have to think about what's happening, and you're wondering the whole time, where are they going? What are they doing? But not every book is like that. But that doesn't mean those books are not good. They're just different.
Yeah.
Uh, and I call those my palate cleansers,
Oh, yeah, that's
because
true.
they're like, I call those my easy breezy reads, like
Right,
fun
like
reads.
the beach reads are like that.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
feel like sometimes when I'm not feeling well, but I'm feel well enough to read, but not like well enough to get dressed or go out or whatever. I'm like, I just need a light book. Give me a
yes. What?
snack,
Yes,
you
and
know?
one where I can say yes, and one where I'm not having to take a bunch of notes. You know.
Right, right.
So
Read it in
those
a day
books
or
have
2.
wonderful value as well.
Yes, they do, they do.
Yes, yes,
They're
yes,
great
for
to read
sure.
on vacation.
Yes,
Also a time when you don't wanna be reading a lot of heavy literature.
yes, exactly. Or if you want to, like, I get to go on vacations because of those books.
Yeah.
So, okay, the next question is, I don't think I asked you that. So let's go. What is your current state of mind?
Oh gosh. I had
That
several
probably
events.
changed.
And what did you say?
That probably changed since last we
Yeah,
spoke.
it will. I've had a lot of events this week, and it's sort of, the lead up to launch, the launch, podcasts, book signings. I did a multi-author event that was online last night. And I'm kind of ready to decompress a little bit because those kind of things are great energy, but they deplete me really fast because there's all the preparation. I'm a little bit nervous. There's just not a whole lot of downtime.
Right.
And so I'm looking forward to that. So I'm actually going out of town tomorrow for a week to
Oh,
visit
fantastic.
family. And I'm not going to write. I'm not going to read. I'm just, going to
Gonna
just,
be.
yeah, yeah,
That's
just going to
really
veg a
nice.
little bit. So it'll be
Lay
nice.
like broccoli, as
Yes.
they say.
Yes. Couch
I love that.
potato. Pick
Couch
your
potato.
vegetable that you want to
I,
be.
I think lay like broccoli was from Pretty Woman. But anyway, that's
Yes, I
funny. But
remember
yes,
that.
yeah,
Yep.
but couch potato. I love that. I totally forgot about that. I'm a couch potato, I guess.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, on what occasion would you lie? Like that you would think it was okay to lie.
I would lie when lying would preserve someone's feelings. I would lie to prevent someone from having their feelings hurt.
I think that's a wonderful attribute
Yeah.
to have, you know, because sometimes brutal honesty is just brutal honesty.
It is, and if the honesty isn't gonna help that person, then
They don't need to hear
why
it.
would I even say it? It's gonna
Right.
ruin their day or make it
Absolutely.
confrontational, and I hate confrontation, so,
Yes,
um,
yes. I'm learning to just walk away from that.
yes.
Like if I even have a feeling something's going to be bad, I'm walking away. I keep saying I'm making my circle smaller,
Yeah.
but I think we do that as we get older.
I think we get wiser, and that's why we do it, yeah.
Right, right. That's true. That's true. Um there's a question. I'm not going to ask this, but I want to tell you it because it's funny. What do you most dislike about your appearance? Like what? Who would ask that?
What?
Anyway, I think that's so funny.
Thank you for not asking, and if you had asked, I would have said, "Pass."
That's an awful. That's an
Yes.
awful question. That's all
Hard pass.
a hard pass. I like that. So, I'm going to combine two questions. What is the quality you most like in a human being?
I think it's authenticity. Am
Just
I
like Oprah.
Yeah, am I talking to the real person, or is this the mask that you wanna present to me? And as
Yes,
I get older, I think as we get
you,
older, we kinda learn to recognize that a
you
lot
can tell.
faster. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
like, I think back to all those boys I dated.
You
Think,
would.
"Wow, they were not authentic.
What was I doing?
What the hell?"
But
But I was looking at the showy mask, I wasn't
yes,
looking at the real
yes.
person, so
Like
yeah,
what?
the person and their real self is what is so great, and I have the most authentic friends, girlfriends. I love that. It's just great.
That's wonderful. I have a wonderful circle of friends as well. I'm very, very lucky. Like Serena's taking a cruise over in Australia, and like all day she's sending me pictures of the ocean, the sunset, the sunrise.
Oh,
Like,
great.
I feel like I'm on vacation. You can't ask for a better friend than that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
she knows I don't get out much, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
very, very kind of her.
Well, that's a sweet
Um,
thing to do.
yes, absolutely. So I call it couch traveling. I think I actually brought this up last.
Well,
We
isn't
aren't
that
really
what books
doing.
are? Books are couch traveling.
Yes, yes. Oh, and
That's why
what?
I read, I learn more from books than I have sometimes from just living life because I write historical fiction, so I read a
Yes,
lot of it, and I'm going back to former times that a lot of information of that is just not it's not clear what life was like to
well,
us then. But you read a book, and all of a sudden, you're traveling somewhere else.
and also you're learning.
Yeah.
Something you might have hated school, but you don't mind reading a story.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's what I love about historical fiction authors. They, what I say, bring good things to life. Like, because it's always something
I
or
like
tends
that.
to be something we know nothing about. And I do feel like the hand of God or whomever, that person that they're writing about, like Nellie Bly, taps you on the shoulder and says,
Yeah.
you're the one. You're gonna
Yeah.
write my story,
Yeah.
right?
I felt like that with her, definitely.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
I honestly believe that 100%, no doubt.
Yeah.
I believe that wholeheartedly because everyone that I've ever interviewed has historical fiction, especially, has always been so tethered to whomever they were writing about
Oh, yeah.
or whatever period they were writing about, and it's such a
It is.
really cool thing.
It is. And you know
So
what's interesting? Now that I write historical fiction, I did not like history growing up. I didn't like it in high school. I think I had maybe one class in college, and I did not like history because to me, it was mostly about memorization. It wasn't about stories so much as it was, oh, I'm going to need to know this certain date for a test or whatever,
right,
which
right.
was not at all exciting to me. But
Right.
to your point, when you put the fiction part with the history, it becomes a story. And that is so much more evocative to me than learning the details of a battle. Do you know what I
It
mean?
really is. I mean, the best teacher in school for me was the one that was telling the stories and having us act things out
Yeah,
and get us very involved in the story. It is about storytelling.
it is.
And you're right, it's not about memorization.
No,
So,
it's very dull that way. But if you take all those dates, if you take everything you would learn in a history class and put a family in it or a woman at the center of it and how all that affects her and it becomes a
yes.
story, it's just
Well,
chef's
that's,
kiss.
that's like Kate Quinn. Like she wrote about the code.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, wait a second, wait a second. I just watched where it was the men that did this in a movie, but it was the
Interesting,
women
right?
in it. Yes, I said, oh, she called that one.
Right.
And I'm sure she didn't know this movie was coming out about the same time. But how, and I interviewed her for that book, and it was just so like in my face about how women are not recognized enough. Like what Nellie Bly did. I hate to keep going back to that. Not hate,
Yeah.
but I keep going back to that because that story to me, because you have to understand, like what I do, I made myself a reporter, right? Like I made myself a job like that. And I would have been the one that would have done something like that.
Yes, you would have. You
I believe I would
absolutely
have.
would
Yes,
have.
I 100% believe I would
You
have
have
done.
a lot of Nellie Bly in you. I
I
think you
think
really
I
and I
do.
totally mean that as a compliment
Thank
because
you.
she was spunky and independent and determined, and she
Yeah,
would not stop. But she was also
that's
a
what.
really great person who loved people and wanted to use her gifts to help other people. It wasn't all about
Absolutely
herself. It was
right.
about
Right.
how can I expose what's going on here and lift this section of people up
And that's
because
how
they've
I.
been mistreated. Yeah.
That's how I am for sure. But yeah, I maybe that is why I'm so like addicted to your book. That's funny. My friend said, Annie, I don't know how we'd get you on the island. I was like, ugh. Anyway, so I want to go there so bad. Okay. Uh, what or who is the greatest love of your life?
That's my husband, Ron, which
Oh,
seems like maybe like a obvious answer, but first thing that
it
came to
is the
mind, he's
answer.
really supportive of me in so many ways. He's giving, he's a great dad. He's fun, he's got a quirky little sense of humor. I
That's
dedicated
one.
my first book to him and I left it a surprise because I didn't want him to know. And so he kept wanting to read like the galley or whatever. Like, no, you have to wait until it's printed. Stop, we're not, blah blah blah. And then when it came, when the arcs came, I opened the page to the acknowledgments and I said, "This is for you." So,
Oh, did he
yeah.
die?
No, he didn't die.
Not die, but I mean, was he like, oh my God, that's so nice? Because
I got you.
I
You
have
know,
to say, like, I do hate using that word, did they die? But
he was quite surprised. Yeah.
yes, like Frank Oliva, he wrote Walking Among the Trees,
Hmm.
and he dedicated his book to me.
Did
Like,
he really?
yeah, to my beautiful friend Annie McDonnell. And I was like, what? Like, he's got a wife and da da da. But
Yeah.
when they came to my book signing, she said, I had to come meet you and find out what all of this Annie was all about, because like we're just really close. Um, but on a professional level, I fell in love with his book. I never thought I'd like horror. It's a horror
Oh, he
book.
said horror. I didn't know it was
Yeah,
horror.
and it's about exorcism, and it's two priests walking in the woods, and but the whole time you don't know what's going on. So it was so exciting to me that like I interviewed him like a crazy person at every book club I could possibly interview him when his book came out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
You know Jennifer Ann Gordon, right?
yes,
From
I'm
Vox
the one that
Vomitus.
I sent you to her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
I wrote to you and
She has
said,
been trying
please, she needs
so
a member.
she's been trying so hard to get me to read horror because I mean, I write gothic, I write dark stuff, but I can't go quite, I don't read horror usually because it's just too like spooky for me.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. But
But
I
I'm
just read a horror book that I really, really liked. So
see,
yeah, it's not that bad.
I I read a book, a cross genre book, and like it had a little bit of horror, and like when the cat jumped out and I jumped, I said, "Ooh, I like this
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
This feels pretty cool." I'm not ready for a Stephen King. I do say Frank is like a Stephen King. Yeah, yeah, he's a literary horror writer. So he's like Stephen King. But that's because I have read Stephen King back in the day. But I think as I got older, I'm too scared of things. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here alone, even though I have dogs. I don't know. I need to lift my feet up. I need to have blankets all over.
Yeah.
Like I'm protecting myself from the
Yeah.
characters in the
Those
book.
blankets will keep you from the boogeyman.
Yes, yes, yes. You know Nola Nash?
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
okay, so she wrote Crescent City Moon, and I read that, and it was like I started standing up and going Zola, like I got really into it. So I was like, oh boy.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not my favorite genre, but I did read some horror books that I liked. Okay, which one did you read? May I ask?
It's got a long title. It's the
Oh, okay.
Southern Guide to Slaying Vampires.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
I'm not getting the title quite right. It's by
Oh,
Grady Hendrix.
okay,
Um, The Southern
that's
Woman's Guide
interesting.
to Slaying Vampires or something like that. But what got me, and I love that book, what got me is that it's horror, but parts of it are funny. And I was like,
Yes.
what a weird mashup. Like, whoever put those things together and thought that they would fit, you know?
Yeah. Carrie Schaefer, Carrie Ann King.
Yeah, I've heard
She
that name.
she uses Carrie Schaefer for her horror type books, and they're books like there's a nursing home of like monsters, and
Yeah.
one of them's a vampire, and he loses his teeth, and he goes to CVS
See? That's
to get
funny.
teeth. Yeah, I had to pull over. I was listening to it on Audible, and I had to pull over because I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, like
I couldn't concentrate on the road, and I couldn't believe that happened. But anyway, yeah, it's funny when that happens. You're right. Okay, when and where were you the happiest?
hmm. So when my husband and I first got married, so this is BC, before children, we spent a year in Germany.
I'm trying to drink.
BC, that's what it is.
BC, I love it.
We lived in Germany for a year. He worked for a company there, and Germany was so central to the rest of Europe, and the currency was all the euro. It was easy to go from one country to another right across the border. So it was like a year's honeymoon of where do we want to go? Which country do we want to go this weekend? So
Right,
it was
right.
great. And we didn't have a lot of responsibilities because we didn't have kids. That would all change when we came back. But we just loved it. And I just loved immersing myself in a different culture. It was
Right.
such a great time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I have a sorority sister who was in Germany because her husband was like head of BMW.
Oh,
So he would like go there and then they come back to Alabama and then they go there. And they loved being in Germany.
it's
You
a
know, they loved
beautiful
it.
country. It really is.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Um, let's see. What is the I don't know if I asked you, so please forgive me, but which talent would you most like to have?
Oh gosh.
The one that you don't have. This is still going to be a tough question.
Ooh,
You might have to
I
pass.
I think that I would like to be more confident and easier, um, better at like public speaking, so that when I do have these book launches and have to stand at a podium or whatever, that I don't feel like
You
I have frogs in my throat and my hair looks bad and I can't remember what I want to say and my mouth is so dry that each tooth feels like it has a sock on it. I drink my water.
That's a great way to put it. That is how Cottonmouth feels. That's so funny.
Yes.
You are very. This is why you're a great author. You're so good at describing things. I never heard anybody say that.
Yeah.
They'd be like a mouthful of cotton.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I haven't been recording. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you are. Yes,
I
you
know.
are.
I was
My
kidding. I was
God.
kidding. I was trying to freak you out. Okay, we're almost done. What would you consider your greatest achievement?
I have a 20-year-old son in college, and then I have twins who are seniors in high school.
Are
So
you
they're about to graduate.
serious?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I feel sad because in a couple months, they're going to be going away to college. But, we raise kids to be responsible, healthy citizens and good people. And when I look at their lives and how well they're doing and how happy they are, I feel like my husband and I have launched them well because they're
Oh,
well-rounded, they're kind, um, they're just good human beings.
they're mini Tanyas. That's awesome. I love mini Tanyas and Ron. I think you said their name was.
Ron, yeah,
Yeah,
Ron.
yeah. Like that's really nice.
They have a little bit of Rania in them.
You are so much fun. You are so much fun. I wish we lived near each other so like we could go out.
I know. We live too far apart.
I know, but we would have such a riot.
We would. We
Yes,
would.
we would. We always have a lot to talk about. Okay. Where would you most like to live?
Oh, England. I'm a huge
England.
Anglophile. Yep. My
Ah.
first book was New York City, so I had to learn a lot of that in the late about that in the 1800s. But my next book is still that era, 1800 late 1800s, but it takes place in Liverpool, England. I've only been to
That's where
England
my mom was
once.
born.
Oh, really? In Liverpool?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's Irish, but her mother, my grandma, was on vacation and had my mother early in
Oh,
Liverpool.
wow. Yeah.
And my mom will not want it and ever she will never admit that she was born in
Oh,
Liverpool.
really?
Yeah, she'll tell everybody Dublin. It cracks me up.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
But I
So
think
I
it's
love
cool.
English history. I love the English countryside. A lot of the books I read that got me in love with Gothic. I mean, Jane Eyre, England.
Yes.
I think my profile on
Emily
Twitter
Bronte.
and Instagram says I'm an Anglophile and Gothic lover. So,
Oh.
yeah, I even
That's
love the English accent. I mean, I love it. This
yeah.
publisher for my latest book is in London.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Who published the book?
It's Bloodhound Books.
Bloodhound Books. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're
Yes,
in
yes,
Cambridge.
I get their email all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll say 99 pence or whatever.
yeah,
Let's say.
yeah. Which
Yeah,
is
because
usually like $1.99, I think, in the
yes, but
US.
I love Bloodhound Books. That's
Yeah,
so amazing that you're with them. You
yeah,
know, they have delivered a lot of great books. That's why I started following them.
yeah,
I like to follow the publishers that are that delivering great books.
yeah.
All right, so I do have one last question.
Okay. You're
Yellow.
smiling evilly like
No, no,
it's
no, no,
gonna be
no, no.
really
It's fun.
hard.
It's fun. It's fun. It's just a simple. What would you do? Yellow light. Speed up or slow down.
Speed up. If I'm being honest.
That's so.
Those are known
I
as pink lights, by the way.
pardon me.
Those are known as pink. They're
Are
pink.
they?
Yeah.
You need to write a book on Tanya-isms
Oh gosh.
because you have a lot of them. You know
That's
that,
not
right?
me though. The pink light,
I never
that's
heard of that before.
oh really? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Pink lights are not red. So
Well, with me, like, I'm not. I haven't driven in years, but I do have my license back, so that if I'm not like today, I would never drive in a million years because I'm so dizzy. But if there's a day I wake up and I feel good, I will go out that day, and I'm very excited. But before, with all of the lights having
mhm.
cameras,
uh
it's like you see a yellow light, people are like, "Ee!" like putting on the brakes, terrified of going through it like that last second and have their driver's, their license plate get scanned. I
Um,
think that they cause more accidents than anything because nobody's free flowing, when they're
yeah,
driving. It makes it scary because it's like now there's a fourth light everyone has to pay attention to.
yeah.
Anyway, I got off on a tangent. Sorry.
No,
Well,
it's good.
it was such a pleasure speaking with you. Everybody needs to go and get her new book. Can you show the cover again,
I
please?
will. It's about a 26-year-old woman who goes on trial for murdering her husband with arsenic. And the twist of it is her husband was an arsenic eater, which I had never heard of. An
What
arsenic
is
eater
it?
were people, and when I say people, I mean men who
Yes.
took arsenic because they thought it had medicinal properties. And when I say medicinal, I mean it made them more like sexually active and virile and stuff like that. So the twist of it is, if he was regularly dosing himself with arsenic, 2, 3 times a day, and this was widely known, why in the world would they bring her up on charges of
Right, right,
poisoning him? What if it was just an accidental overdose? Maybe it was
right.
even suicide. And so the more that I dug, because it's a real case, it's a
Oh,
real
is
case from
it?
18. Yeah, this woman, wow, she was like my next Nellie Bly. Like what happened to her
Oh,
in her life because of all of this? So just a really sad story, but also a really bizarre trial, and so many people in it that were close to her and her husband um, were um, they had motive too. So it wasn't quite this cut and dried case of a woman who did away with her husband. There was a lot of stuff in it. So
that's really sad.
yeah,
You know, that it's so weird. Like, you feel like women have come so far, but then they haven't. So you read these stories from way back then, and you're like, how have we not learned
right,
more at this point in time?
right, right,
It's just, and now we're going backwards with things. It's just like,
yeah,
oh my god.
right, right,
So writing these books are very important and bringing these things, as I say, to the light.
yeah, yeah.
At least enough where people are bearing witness to what a woman went through during a certain period of time.
Yeah,
I
I
really
wanted to bear
appreciate.
witness to her and this ordeal that she went through.
I
Of course,
love
she's
that,
morally gray, she's not perfect.
but I mean,
So,
none of us
there were
are.
things that she did that made her look guilty, and she was guilty of some things, but, wow, I
Not
just wanted to
that.
give her a voice finally, because when I found the story and looked for the novel, there wasn't one, which is exactly how I started with The Feigned Madness. I couldn't believe anybody had never written her story, and it was just like, I need to be the voice for this woman.
You know how it's. I always wonder, like, how do people come up with like what they're going to write? And I think that's so cool that you found this story. That's it was the same thing with the Nellie Bly story because I knew nothing of this, which I found. Oh my god! I just swallowed it whole. Like I was so in love with that story. All right, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you joining us, and we're bantering too much. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much, Tonya. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. I love the opportunity, Annie.
Thank you.